Okay, we're here. In
Yes,
spite
we
of
are.
all of the technical challenges today, as beautiful as it is out here today, bright, clear, sunny skies. I got a dark cloud hanging over my head, technically.
No. What?
Battling
Oh,
stuff all day. Yeah.
yeah. That's what a buzzkill that
It
is.
is. Well, especially because it's a gorgeous Thanksgiving Eve. And Lisa and I just absolutely love it. So we're just bustling about doing work and doing other stuff. We got to bake an apple pie. I've never baked a pie
Ooh,
before.
wow.
Yeah,
Really?
I got to cut up the apples. We got these amazing what do you call the Honey Crisp apples that were at the store, and she made me go back and get more to make a pie out of them. They were so good. So we're gonna
Oh
make it.
yeah, the Honey Crisp. Those are
Oh,
those are those are
they're the
good.
best. I think
Yeah.
they're the best. Yeah.
Boy,
So
that's
then
gonna
I
be
have to
awesome.
make, well, tomorrow morning I will make my nearly world famous garlic mashed potatoes, take over to my mom's. And Lisa's got to make all of her vegetables. I hope she does that tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That
God,
sounds
my mouth is
exciting. That sounds
watering.
like I know when you talk, you know what? You're gonna make that pie and it's gonna make the whole house smell so good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I love about Thanksgiving are just all those great smells in the house and
You're
everything.
right.
It
But I
makes
got
you
to
feel
tell
so
you,
comfy.
there's those two things, apple pie and pumpkin pie.
Mm.
You smell those as soon as you enter the house,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and I like my mom will always make her own pumpkin pie, and I always request easy on the sugar because I hate the real sugary stuff. And it's when you can really taste the pumpkin, man, it's so good, so
Yes,
good.
yes. And pumpkin is just so good. It's such a versatile
It
thing.
is,
It's really
and
amazing.
yet we only use it 1 month out of the year.
It's a shame. It's a shame
Yeah,
because pumpkin's so good for you too. And
seems to
there's
be.
yeah. Anyway,
What is pumpkin? Is it a fruit? Because it has
yeah,
the seeds in it.
I would, you know, it's that's a great question. So, but it has seeds, but it grows on the ground, and usually that's a vegetable on the ground. But then watermelon, it's kind of the same. It's like
That's definitely a fruit.
so
So
would you call a pumpkin a gourd? I don't know.
that's a good question. Well, our
Yeah.
gourds are vegetables, right?
Are
Like
they?
squash,
Yeah, I guess you're
squash.
right. Yeah,
But they
yeah.
have the seeds. I thought
But don't
seeds
vegetables
denote.
have seeds? I mean, like for instance, a green pepper has a billion little seeds in there.
Okay. Okay. Is pumpkin fruit or a vegetable? According to the Farmer's Almanac. Oh, there's a trusted source. They
Yes,
are. They
they're
are. They
always
are.
right.
And we look at Merriam-Webster's definition of fruit, we can see why. A fruit is, quote, the usually edible reproductive body of a seed plant. What does that mean? The
I
usual
don't know.
edible reproductive body of a seed plant. What?
Yeah,
If
that's I
what's
have no
funny?
idea. That didn't
So
clear it up for me. That did
it does
not do
say
anything.
definitively, so the pumpkin is a fruit of the pumpkin vine.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I mean, it is a vine, and like a vine, grapes are on a vine.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's starting to make more sense. Hey, let's just talk about a couple of helpful things. And because, that's what we do here. We just
Yeah.
like,
All right.
as we get older. All right. So listen to this one, never grow
Let's do
up.
it. In
Boost your
light of
health.
Thanksgiving.
Yes. Boost your health and happiness with 2 childhood activities. Now, all right. I didn't know about this one. Listen, coloring. It's easy to brush off the current adult coloring craze. I didn't know there was one as a passing trend, but it's tapping into something deeper. This is where it starts making sense to me as an artist, right? By drawing you away from your usual tangle of thoughts, coloring mimics aspects of mindfulness practice.
Hmm.
Mindfulness is about being aware of the present moment with intention and without judging. Now, this I can speak to that because I used to draw all through high school, college, and all that. Drew
Right.
a
Right.
lot and
Yes.
was training for my future job. And when I would really get into it, for one, I do my best listening in classes when I'm doodling
Huh.
because I'd
That's
be
interesting.
preoccupied with my nervous energy while my mind would be very present. But if I was just drawing, out somewhere. It's in my room or wherever I went to go draw something. It preoccupies the nervous energy of yourself or something, and just enables your mind to relax and open up.
I see that. I totally see that.
Yeah.
I started to do some sketching, not coloring, but sketching.
Uh-huh.
And it had the same effect on me. I mean, it
Yes.
was calming is what it was. I found myself much like when I play my guitar,
Yes.
that I
Yes.
found myself lost in that whole thing. But I don't know that I was listening. It was more, everything was turned in more, that I
Mhm.
was listening to my own soul, I guess.
Yeah, I
But
think
it
so.
was cathartic, quite a thing. I could see where this is going here.
I think when you get engaged with the creative process, it could be like if you like
Mm,
knitting or something,
yeah.
but I think it relaxes you. Remember, I think you and I were talking on the phone about this. I was thinking it was a podcast, but we've talked about vibrational,
We were on the
vibrate.
phone talking about this. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
The
I think
vibe.
it enables you to vibrate at a little bit higher level. You're more in touch with the divine. I'm going to say.
Hmm. Interesting.
I
When you
really
say,
think that.
and we talk about this whole vibration thing, and I think I was saying, the whole world intuitively knows this about vibrations, because we talk about, well, I get a vibe from that, or that guy gives me a good or a bad vibe.
Right.
But then vibing at a higher or lower rate, that's an interesting way of putting it, because when I'm relaxed, I kind of feel like I'm vibrating at a lower rate, a calm kind of a tick, 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 rather than up here at a tick, 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 tick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think you're confusing a metabolic thing with like wavelengths. Like I
I don't
think
know. I
so if
mean,
you're at rest
yeah,
and you got this your mind is freed, you don't have any anxiety going on. I could see how you would say, "Oh, I think I'm vibrating at a really low level. I'm so mellow." But I think
right,
it's kind
right.
of the opposite, that
Hmm.
when you're opened up like that, it's like it's like a high pitched sound that only a dog could hear, and yet it's
Hmm.
so gentle that we can't
Hmm.
hear it.
Hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Well, that
We
makes
st-
sense.
we started talking about this because I was listening to a Rogan episode with this Randall. Oh God, I'll think of his last name in a minute. He is a documentarian, a journalist that he's got a special on Netflix, and I just watched a couple of the episodes. It's called Ancient Apocalypse,
Hmm.
and he's been for 2 decades now trying to find evidence, piecing together all the different evidence to prove that there was a sophisticated, a technologically advanced ancient civilization during the Ice Age,
Hmm.
like 12 and a half thousand years ago.
Okay.
And very interesting, just all of the proof that he was laying out. Oh, and then his partner, can't remember his name off the top of my head. This is where it all came up. He's some kind of scientist guy. And he was talking about, so they were talking about how on earth did they carve those large blocks of granite that are like 7 tons apiece and move them into place, much of that being elevated, getting it way up off the ground
Right.
as you go up.
We're talking about the pyramids.
Oh, I didn't say that right. The
No.
pyramids. Right.
But I think in our minds, we all knew you were talking about that,
Okay.
because it's like, how the heck did they do
And
that?
dude, they're discovering more pyramids all the time. They just discovered, I think, the largest one in the world in the Amazon by using land define piercing radar. And they're finding all these other geometric
So
structures under the ground.
it
Yeah.
was underground. It
Yeah,
was
I think so.
completely covered. Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure,
Interesting.
pretty sure.
Wow.
So back to those pyramids. So you're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
7 tons, and the precision with which they were cut. How do you cut all of that granite like that
Hmm.
anyway? And so his scientist friend there, Graham, his name is Graham something. Um, he was saying that he goes, I hadn't been able to talk about this even the last time I was on the show. I was sworn to secrecy. And until now, in a few months, this is all going to go public. He says, I have friends that are scientists that are in the Maldives. He says Maldives, but I've always heard it as Maldives. And purposely to be away from the government, so no government interference. And they've been studying this alternative technology for years, and they don't want the government interfering with it and trying to seize it, usurp it, destroy it, whatever. And so he's saying he thinks and this is going to be like an open source kind of thing in a couple months, is that they're going to blast all this information out so everyone has it. And he says they already, man, I'm really skipping around here, but he says they've already done tests where they took, in fact, Mazda is supplying the labs to do the testing in, because they want in on the forefront of the technology, where they took a combustible engine, your typical car engine, and made a prototype that is combined with this new technology that, and I'm going to go back and describe this in a minute, but they said that typical combustion engine, because there's so much byproduct coming out of it and everything, operates at about 30% efficiency. When combined with this new technology, it operated instantly at 80% efficiency, because what it does is it takes the exhaust particles, all the different kinds of exhaust, and reconverts that back into fuel.
Now that makes sense. Yeah. Interesting.
So, and he says, and that's just a prototype. They haven't even worked the kinks out of it yet. So
and okay, go ahead.
So he was describing that. So what are we talking about when we're talking about different technology, different fuel types? Because the documentarian Randall was saying, like, the problem with us not being able to prove this ancient technology is we're looking for us in the distant past. And he goes, how about if we look for something very different from us? What if we discovered other technology first? We know that sound has a lot of power to it, that it can disrupt elements. And I've seen studies like they see it with crystals. Watch crystals forming, and then they use different sound on it, and
I've
they
seen
form
this
differently,
too, right?
and stuff.
Yes.
And then
it's very interesting studies.
Oh, dude, this is so interesting. And I would encourage anybody to go listen to that podcast, because it was mind blowing. In fact, I listened to it twice. Then Graham was talking about, he goes, we've made a generator with no moving parts. It's like, what? And he says, yeah, it's just based on geometry, and it produces energy, which gets me back to, I've always heard this about pyramids when I was a kid, that there was an energy to
I've
them.
heard the same thing, Barry.
Well, dude, they're popping up all over the world from ancient civilizations. So they're different civilizations. How are they all coming back to the pyramid? What's going on there?
Here's something else that's interesting. As you're speaking about this, it's making me think about how a power source can come from a geometrical design. How can that work? How can we wrap our heads around that? And I started to think about something that's really interesting about these ancient relics that are still around, but have been around for thousands of years. And there are certain shapes that seem to have lasted the test of time. The pyramid is one of them. Another one is the ark. The arc shape, and what we see, especially in the Middle East, like Jerusalem, Israel, is we see these aqueducts that are still up in Rome, that are still up, and they're all built on these arcs, which we understand is the strongest shape in the world. That's the most enduring shape. Here's something else that's interesting on that, is that pardon me, cornerstone. We always think of a cornerstone when it comes to construction as the the stone that is at the corner of a building. It's supposed to be the anchor of everything. But in ancient times, the cornerstone is actually referred to that stone that's at the very top of the ark. So the ark, everything rests on that cornerstone,
because it's pushing down on it.
That's right.
It's causing instability.
The whole shape of it rests on that cornerstone, and you're exactly right. The whole structure gets its power from that. And what we've found out is it's one of the most enduring types of structure. So how do we derive power out of that? Here's a side note. Jesus in the Bible is called the cornerstone, and it's referring to that exact stone right there. And we in our faith, The power is in that cornerstone. So how do we apply that to the physical world? This is the concept, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about something that's deeply ingrained in our reality, but how do we tap into it? So did you learn that part?
No.
We need that part.
That Graham dude, the scientist guy, said, "Hey, look, I'll come back with video, with slides, and everything else, and we'll talk about just these tools, this whole new
I'm
thing."
excited about that.
I am super excited about it.
Okay, so you and I have talked about Tesla and the fact that he
said that this technology he's talking about is largely derived from Nikola Tesla's experiments and stuff, much of which was classified. Tesla was thinking that we were very close to being able to pull electricity out of the air,
right?
Not using cords and stuff.
I mean, I've seen doc. I don't know anything about this. Okay, let me just state that I know very little about this, but I've seen documentation of Tesla, his invention of being able, like, these objects are just floating across the air, seemingly powered by invisible power, like
sound and stuff. And
yeah,
that's
like
what they were talking about.
No
so back to
coming out,
back to those pyramids.
Yes.
So it's about when this is how they explain this, how we got on that whole subject about vibration.
Yes.
Everything has a vibration to it. And they said, when you understand what frequencies different things are vibrating at, you can manipulate them. So that's how they said that the granite was carved and elevated into the air. That's the best I can explain it at this point.
So here's a couple of things, because you and I touched on this before. This subject can go a million different ways here. Yeah. But one of the things that I think about is how this technology isn't new. Like you're saying, there's a probability that it goes into our antiquity. But the fact is that it seems like there's a set of people here in this world right now, like these people that are tuned into this, and that this isn't a new thing. It's just new to us. Yeah. And when Tesla came out with these inventions, they shut him down. They shut down, and this is my understanding, they shut down him like completely.
Eventually, I saw a documentary on him few years ago. It was fascinating. He was known to be just the I don't know, Albert Einstein or Ben Franklin, the ultimate inventor of his time, the leading brain. But he also, he was getting all this funding from one particular really super wealthy guy. But he was always saying he's going to produce this for him. He's going to produce that. And yet he was just off doing his own weird stuff. And I think he was kind of lost in his own mind, and maybe he's obsessed with trying to figure out this technology, but he kept making promises and not delivering. And he eventually had all of his funding pulled from him, and he died absolutely destitute.
That's what I heard. And now I have also heard that his invention was a threat to the power structure here, where that is really built on crude oil, natural
That's
gas.
Probably true. That's probably true.
These guys were the what do you call it? The robber barons of the day, because Tesla's right around the turn of the century, in the 20th century. He goes back
early
in time.
20th century.
Yeah, 20. That's exactly when the robber barons, and those are the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, and so you got the steel magnates, the train magnates, the oil magnates, JP Morgan and all them. And this guy is a threat to that power structure there, because all that's coming through them. Now Tesla is a threat. And when you think about this kind of technology in the world wars have been fought over energy. I mean, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor because of an oil embargo that we put on them, and that was going to shut down their whole war machine. This kind of thing could change the entire world structure.
Yeah. And that's why these guys say that they're going to pump it out immediately and in mass as an open source. And Randall guy relayed that because Joe was asking, like, well, why would he just do that? Why not? Why would he not try to? Uh, well, they do have a lot of patents. He said, "This is my life legacy. He goes, I'm towards the end of my life. I want to change the world with this. I want the world
That'll
to
change the world. All right. I mean,
Yeah.
think about the power that OPEC has right now would be completely destroyed by something like this.
Well,
and even Russia with their natural gas and Nord Stream 1 and 2, all that power that these different countries and even the United States have gets all that changes overnight.
Well, it would be the hugest disruptor to our economies and our
Just
political everything.
Even our whole way of life would
change. You got to hope that it goes the right way.
Think about it. Just all of our cars, all of our everything that locomotion. Gosh, I was on this great motorcycle ride. What are we gonna? Will we have jetpacks? Where is my jetpack?
They're out there. They're out there. So I looked it up. Nikola Tesla was born 1856, died 1943.
Wow.
So yeah, okay. I think the last 20 years of his life or something like that, he was pretty much in dire straits.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Really something.
Yeah. Okay. So we got through that. We managed to get through that whole thing about coloring.
I was going to say something else. So
go ahead.
Because when you think about Tesla, also think about the fact that, man, in his time, we had so many unbelievably smart inventors. I mean, you had Tesla, you had Einstein, you had Edison, you had all these people, man, that changed the whole world. That it just seemed like they all were around at the same time, which is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It sounds like we were just absolutely meant to make that breakthrough at that time.
I think you're right. It's what it seems like to me too, Barry. It's how fascinating. During this conversation, I got goosebumps a couple of times because I'm a weirdo, I guess. When I think about like this whole concept, it is, and it's exciting to me as well. That it's a new way to think of really the whole universe.
It is. When we got electricity, and I think that was around 1870, 60.
Right around then, and everything was in flux then between AC and DC power. The battery power was the first one that came out, and then the other one was, I think it's DC power. Right around in the 1880s, which changed everything. The World's Fair was in Chicago, and they lit the whole place up. Nothing like that had ever been seen. That was in 1883.
Yeah, and Stephen Gray discovered the property of electrical conduction in 1729. So it took a while to figure out how to use it right. And I remember because my one friend and client is an electrical safety training instructor. And so I've seen tons of his presentations and stuff. And it's towards the beginning, he'll do an introduction about when they wired up New York City for the first time. Man, it was all wood buildings and everything. They burnt that city down all the time because they had no code. They're just running wire.
The whole block would burn down. Just within moments, and everybody would gang rush the door. Most of the deaths were from people running over each other, not the fire.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating.
Also, did you see those old pictures where it's like the wires are like, I mean, they're it's just like you can't even see anything. There's a billion wires. Of course a fire's gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. So that was the advent around that time. I think it's the NFPA.
I bet it sounded like popcorn all the time. Those things popping up there like bacon.
Right. So let's move on here. This is the second part of this article is never grow up, boost your health and happiness with 2 childhood activities. The second one is play. And this is the most understated. We talked about this a long time ago. Just read this paragraph. You know what they say about all work and no play? And in a culture that emphasizes productivity, play can be elusive. That it is. Whether it's a game of hide and seek, charades, or touch football or volleyball, I put there because I used to love playing volleyball. Playful activities help you find balance. As with coloring, play draws you out of self-awareness. and may help you fend off depression and anxiety as well. Absolutely, it will. Plus, in general, no matter what kind of play it is, it's beneficial for many parts of your body, including the brain. And that is understated because exercise is the most effective thing you can do for your cognitive health.
That's good stuff right there, man. I agree
Well,
with
it
this.
is, but I think
Yes.
it's lame by saying hide and seek, charades, touch football. Maybe. I used to play volleyball up until my shoulder couldn't take it anymore about a little over 10 years ago. I had to switch up things. But today, I think you and I just had this discussion. Dude, anybody brings out a Frisbee, I could play all day. Running after
but no one
that
does
Frisbee.
that.
Nobody does that.
No one does it.
Yeah.
I know. I have a football in my office. It's
I love throwing football.
Yeah, no one will play catch. It's no fun when you have a football and nobody wants to catch it.
Right.
It's like, come on, man.
Throw it up on the roof of your house and then wait for it to come back down. I mean,
yeah, that's what I got to do now.
Frisbee, man, I love throwing Frisbee, but whatever it may be. I mean, I can't, I think that we often feel foolish. What do you mean play? I mean, if we're going to go and do exercise, like go play in the water, well, we're going to swim laps in a nice orderly fashion. It took the play right out of it,
Well, yeah, yeah, you're right about that. But I do see how play does keep you young. And here's something that you mentioned hide and seek. Mm-hmm. During this whole thing that's happened over the last 2 years, Anne Marie and I came up with a little game that we like to play. And it's pretty crazy because we found that we could be very creative at this. So here's how it goes: is that Anne Marie will say, "Hey, Merle, can you come into the room for a second? I need to show you something." And then I'll be in a second. And then I'll go into the room, and she's not there. and then I'm like, hey, she probably could see me right now. And that's the game, is that she's
hide and seek.
We do this. So this is what we did. Once the lockdowns happened, we started to find that we needed ways to entertain ourselves. And we found the most creative ways of hiding from each other in this house. I don't know if this is a skill or not, but here's one that happened to me. Is I came into the bedroom and I could not find Anne Marie. And I was like, my house is not that big. How could she disappear like that? And I mean, it's funny because when you can't find the person, you're like, this is uncanny. So I actually sat down. There's a little bench in my bedroom that I sat down, and I'm like, okay, I bet you she can see me right now. She's probably laughing. But I got to figure this out. And when I sat down next to, we have a coat rack in our bedroom, and it's got all these coats in it and everything. And as I was sitting next to it, and as I was thinking about this, one of the coats moved and put its hand on my hand. It was Anne Marie in the coat rack.
Oh, that's so
like,
funny.
how did she hide? That was so crazy. And it's anyhow, so we found that really was a very, I mean, we felt like kids. We would giggle like kids. I felt like I regressed into my childhood right there.
Lisa and I laugh our butts off here when we're by ourselves. The best thing that ever happened to me came as a result of COVID. I hate to say that there was anything good to come out of it, but
there were a couple good things.
The fact that she started working remotely. She used to leave for work every day, be gone all day. I'd be here working by myself all day. Never did I realize until she started working over on the other side of the house how rewarding that is for me. And even though we don't interact all that much during a work day, but when we do, we great talks, but a lot of laughs. Getting Charlie, oh my God, he is just such a he's such an instrument to the rest of our laughter. She makes fun of him and teases him and stuff, and it's funny.
I know what you mean.
Their relationship. Oh, but I wanted to say one other thing about play. This is a good one. I remember a couple of years ago, Dan telling me, my buddy Dan the fireman, that he and Janine and a bunch of the friends, their friends over there on the west side, they were getting together to play kickball.
Oh my God, kickball! Are you kidding me? I would love to play kickball.
Yeah, that's what I just thought, that their examples here in this article weren't that good, because kickball any of us can do right away. You know what? My renters from last winter left these plastic sleds behind, like toboggan type of sleds.
You go to Kane
Dude,
Park,
I'm going
down that
sled
hill.
riding somewhere. Yeah,
Dude,
Kane
that
Park's a
that
good
hill
one.
at Kane Park is the best. I remember
is,
people
yeah.
people doing that when I was a kid, and I always
Yeah.
I always want. I think I did it once, but that's a great
Yeah.
hill right there.
That's some play right there.
That is some play. You're right, and I
Yeah.
have some adventure to the play as well,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You know, it had a
Yeah.
little danger to it, and
But
it
the
makes it even
exercise,
more fun.
you
Yeah.
go all the way
You-
down there in
Now you
20
gotta go up the
seconds.
hill.
Now you gotta walk all the way back up. But you know this familiar feeling. Same with skiing. I used to do some skiing and stuff. But to when you go home or out to the restaurant and bar after and you're starving
Oh
because you
my
did that
gosh.
for hours.
Yes, yes.
That's
Well,
the best. So you get a
so
nice hot meal and a drink.
it's
Oh,
awesome. I totally agree with you. So this Saturday, no, Sunday, my friends Mike and Amy took Anne Marie and I out to this hiking trail. We did about 4.5 miles. Oh my gosh, Barry, it was so
it's
beautiful there.
oh,
It's just unbelievable.
that's so good for you.
The area around here is just I can't even describe the green. It's so green
Well, it's
around
not
here,
like
but
you're ever going to send me a picture the way I send you pictures.
but I this is why I set up my thing so I could show you some pictures of
Oh,
this because this is I mean the stuff that I was seeing there is unlike anything, and I'll tell you right now that if you look at any pictures of this stuff, it's like it doesn't it's never going to do any justice to
but
like what it actually
we
is.
talked about this a month or so ago. But they're better. These cameras are better than they used to be, though. They do come much closer to capturing it. Just a few years ago, they really didn't. Like it never got the depth. The fall colors never really quite got them. The ones I took this year, I'd say, yeah, pretty much kind of did. Your Grand Canyon pictures were terrific.
Yeah, I mean they really were. I mean it was beautiful. I'm trying to share here, and for some reason let's see if I can make this happen.
Well, you're going from device to device, right?
Okay, it's supposed to be my iPhone here. You're not seeing anything.
You've done it before.
I know. I don't understand this.
I don't know. It's a tech day,
Oh
anti-tech
wow,
day.
it is. Anyway, well, I tried.
Yeah, you did.
Hey, it's beautiful out there. We did 4.5 a lot. So you go way down into this crevice in the earth, and there's this big, huge, like rock stuff that's up above you and everything. And it was pretty hard to get down there.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot harder to get back up. But man, did we do some great exercise in there. And then we went for a drive to this place called Tortilla Flat. Barry, you wouldn't believe it, man. It's just these roads, you're going up into the mountains, and then there's these lakes up there that are surrounded by these rock monolith type cliffs and stuff. I've never seen anything like it. And then we ended up having lunch at this place. It's the last remaining outpost on Apache Trail from back in the old days, like Buffalo Bill. That was one of his places that he would stop. But this guy he was one of the miners. This is a mining state here, gold mining and silver mining. He actually built this place, and it's like a little bar restaurant, and they have live music there all the time, and it's right next to this lake. And they were making these burgers there, Barry, that were to die for. I mean, and they were charred, like perfectly charred and everything. And so after that long hike, we had that, and I had a beer. I haven't had a beer because I'm on this diet and everything. I haven't had a beer since August, beginning of August. So this is my first one, and it was after this hike.
Was it a really good beer?
Oh,
or any beer would have been a really good beer.
Right. I think this was the best beer I ever had in my life.
Schlitz.
I only had one, and I was feeling really good by about after I drank a quarter of it. I noticed I was talking really loud at the table and laughing like, Oh, it was great though, man. I really felt good. So I'm just relating to what you're saying. Is
for sure.
After that workout and everything, being able to go to a beautiful place, and anyhow, it's paradise out here, and the weather out here has been over the top, like 70 degrees, not getting any hotter than 70,
Oh,
sunny, perfect, beautiful.
yeah, that's nice.
Unreal. The only problem is the sun goes down at 5, but other than that, it's
Man,
all
I
good.
know. And it's not just that it goes down, it's like it gets so dark.
I
Like,
know.
just to find your keys or something, you got to turn on 3 different lights.
Just to
It's
find your
so
keys.
dark.
And it's like, because the sun's already at a low state
Yeah.
anyhow, when it goes
Yeah.
down, it's like, whoop, gone.
It's like way gone.
It's
Because
just,
in the summer, 3 in the morning, it doesn't get that dark,
no, right, exactly. But anyhow, it is beautiful here. I went on a motorcycle ride this weekend too.
Mm.
I have a couple of friends here that I didn't know lived here, and I found out. And anyhow, so now I'm in a motorcycle gang. It's kind of funny. That I got, one guy, he's about 10 years older than me,
Yeah.
but we keep bringing other guys that are like 20 years older, 25 years older than me. And so our motorcycle gang is a little long in the tooth, and we don't go that fast. But we do see some really beautiful sights.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, you guys got it. I could develop a logo for you that you guys got to put on your jackets.
I would love to do that. I could just see what the name of our gang would be. The Geezers.
Well, I'm trying to decide, should we go through another article? How about
why not, man? This is fun.
Okay. Well, this one is, I think we can all relate to this. Maybe I certainly can. Got neck pain? These low tech strategies can help. Now,
I've had some very bad neck pain.
Same here. A few years back, maybe 5 years ago, it's because I'll sit at this damn computer all day, every day.
Right.
And often I'm tensed up without realizing it. I'm
right.
kind of tense. And here's one tip for you. Raise your monitor. Like, I have a stand to put my monitor, so it is eye level. And if you like one of those people that are looking down at your laptop or whatever, or your phone, that's the worst. That will definitely kill your neck.
Mm-hmm. And I have my monitors sitting on a couple of books right now.
Yeah.
It's still not high enough.
It's really important.
It is important. But the phone thing, man, I think that the smartphones are ruining a whole generation of people's posture.
Yes. For
they're
sure.
Just going to walk around with and that's going to be pain that's a lifetime of pain right there.
Well, there's I forget what it's called, but I had that neck condition with an inflamed disc. I mean, I went to the doctor, the whole thing. My arm was numb at all times because it wasn't getting proper.
I know exactly which I've had this. Yeah.
There's a word for it.
Is that neuropathy or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And I didn't think to look it up. In fact, it's probably in this article, which I haven't read at all. But what I did, so I'd been to a couple of masseuses, and you need like a big Helga type, that just can crank on you and stuff. Yeah. And the thing is, at $100 a shot, one time ain't going to make it. You need to go a lot of times. What I discovered, they just opened the new Planet Fitness down here.
Yeah.
And for $20,
thing they have in there,
two things. But I'm a Black Card member, and the advantage of this, now you could join for $10 a month and go there and work out. You're fine.
Excited about this.
But for $20 a month, you're a Black Card member. First of all, I do a lot of traveling, and I could go anywhere where there's a Planet Fitness because I'm a Black Card member. And the other thing is that back room, that secret back room back there.
That's the key.
They have, all of them have this too. They have a hydro massage chair, and they have this other regular kind of more conventional massage chair.
The hydro.
Both. The hydro is like hot water. Okay, you're not getting wet. It's all enclosed, but you're laying on this couch-like thing that is just beating that hot water against your back, and it starts at your neck, goes down to your back, and goes back up and goes back down.
I never felt anything like that before, Barry. I love that.
In 2 weeks, I did both of those. I do them back to back. I do the hydro first, then I do the other massage chair, which is like the little knocking things.
Yes.
Okay, so knocking on your spine, nice and gentle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So good, and your neck, and you adjust where you want to concentrate. So for just 2 weeks, I did about a total of 10 sessions, meaning both of those chairs, and it was gone. Curative.
Man, that is
And
really
dude,
great. That's
that's
great.
$20 a month.
That is unbelievable, Barry. That deal is unbelievable. I almost feel like
Yes.
maybe we shouldn't broadcast this so they don't decide to raise the price on us.
No,
Because
man, it's
I'm
their
taking it. I'm taking
model.
advantage of that stuff too.
Yeah,
I'm getting over there myself.
good. Yeah, their
Yeah.
model is just to be so cheap and to be non-judgmental. So you get all the people that always think that they're going to go exercise and go once and never come back. Yet they keep their membership open because it's only $10 a month. I'll
Well, and
guarantee you 90% of their members never really go there.
I know you're right about that. I was
Yeah.
at the Planet Fitness. That's right around the corner from my house, and I think that's where I'm going to start going. But there was no one in there, which was delightful.
That's awesome.
And they said this was a new one, so it was all new equipment, and
It's the cleanest gym I've
the
ever
neighborhood too. They just, they got a bunch of members that never go there, and I'm like, this is the perfect place, and they're so nice in there. And then they took me into that back room, and I laid down on that thing. I almost cried for joy over there. It was
so
unbelievable.
Good.
Yeah.
And everybody, the members are all encouraged and do, and the staff also disinfects everything. You got spray bottles everywhere with paper towels. So if you're thinking, oh, I wouldn't lay on that creepy chair that everybody's been sweating all over, that thing is so disinfected every time. And I do it myself, even though I know somebody else just did it, before I get on there and after, actually. So
I've had.
I don't think.
I mean, these are great. It's a great thing. It's a great tip if you have those problems. But man, when your neck is messed up, I mean, it is your whole
awful.
day. Everything is ruined, man.
I think I was going through that for a year before I finally joined. Massage here and there, and going to the doctor and all that, until I went to Planet Fitness for 2 weeks and cured it.
I had a situation one time where I hurt my neck. I fell on my mountain bike. I was challenged by this guy that I just met on a bike trail, and we ended up going down this trail down towards the beach, and we're coming down off of the Santa Monica Mountains, and I was going about 40 miles per hour down this hill. And
that's
then
dangerous.
but this wasn't the dangerous part. But all of a sudden the guy stops in front of me, and he'd been kind of challenging me the whole time. Like, he kind of made fun of my bike and everything. I just met this guy, and for some reason he got me in the mode of, I'll show you. And then he goes, hey man, let's take this shortcut. And I'm like, the shortcut? And I didn't see anything over there. And what it was there was a little trail that apparently it looked like it was going over a cliff to me. And I was like, that's the shortcut? And he's like, yeah. He goes, you can do it, man. And I'm like, he was a Mexican guy. He talked just like that. And he you can do it, man. And then all of a sudden he disappeared over that thing. And I'm like, okay, I can do it, man. And I went to disappear. And man, as soon as I went over that thing, it was like I was going straight down, and I panicked and I hit my front brake.
Ooh.
This is devastating. I mean, I tumbled down that thing so hard, and it was like I fell off a cliff, and then I hit the bottom so hard. And I was like, oh, this is terrible, until my bicycle came and fell on top of me. And I remember that guy standing above me. Are you okay, man? You don't look so good. And I was like, I think I'm okay. And I couldn't keep up with him. He goes, I'll meet you down at the bottom, man. And he was gone. I never saw that guy again. And then I had to walk back up the hill. They were like vultures circling me. It was a whole terrible thing. But I had to have I had to go see a chiropractor for like 6 weeks after that to get my whole neck and everything all aligned. I was in fact, that was the last time I ever took a shortcut on my mountain bike.
Well, what's funny though, that harkens back to our last article we're discussing, play. And we did not, you and I never thought to mention biking. Just biking.
Why not? Yeah, that is the ultimate play.
It is the ultimate. As long as you don't get hit by a car or fall down a cliff, it's low impact.
It's supposed to be low impact.
Right.
Well, you get a couple of guys involved, and it somehow becomes a contact sport.
For sure. Just a couple other tips about this neck pain, because here's how I got it. Like I said, from just sitting at my computer stressed out too much. Get up, stand up. Desk jobs and other sedentary activities are anything but easy on your body. Sitting at a computer too much of the day, for instance, increases muscle tension and reduces blood flow, both of which raise your risk of neck pain. Yes, I can attest to that.
Yeah, me
Take
too.
frequent breaks. You forget though.
Right.
Work at a standing desk if possible. I have a friend that does that. Even for
Such a
part of
great
the
idea. Yeah.
even for part of the day.
Yeah.
Amping up physical activity in your leisure time. Now, Charlie gets me out and walking now, so that's really good. I break up my day with taking him for a walk, so it's really good. And then I made that note in there: raise your monitor, keep it at eye level, so you're not bending at the neck there. And here's a final note about look up. These days, everybody's walking around looking at their phone. They got
They
texts.
really are.
Yeah, so that's really important. And then stretch it out. Yoga is very good for exactly that. So I mean,
I've heard that.
you've heard that.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of yoga over the years, but I just can't get that into it. You could get me to the gym any day,
Right.
and do my regular exercise routines. I think yoga's really hard. Really hard. And it's good. In fact, I've always said anybody over
it is
everybody
hard.
over 40
I think
should do
that it is good.
Yeah, I think everybody
Anne
over
Marie is
40
really she's a big proponent of it. I mean, she knows all these different stretches, yoga stretches and exercises, and she has a whole routine and stuff and tries to get me to do it. And when I do it, I'm always doing it wrong, and
it's so hard.
And it's I get frustrated right away, and it's like it kind of reminds me of like Pilates, like you see people doing Pilates, and you're like, oh, that kind of looks like fun until you do it.
Yeah,
it's not fun; it's torture.
Right, those damn downward dogs. Those things are absolutely exhausting.
Oh, that is some serious exercise right there. And the nicest instructors are, oh, you can do it. You can. This is like it's like a torture device, and they're so nice about it.
But they say that you are just releasing tons and tons of toxins out of it.
I see that.
Yeah, because you're just kind of like stretching these joints and all this stuff comes
Oh, it's
out.
intense, man.
Yeah.
That's intense work. I mean, I see the benefit, but it's one of those things I just I couldn't get into it.
I know.
I wasn't motivated to be like they were really trying to get me into it, and I could see the benefit, but it just I was repelled by it.
What kind of exercising are you doing now along with your diet?
Oh, it's basically just riding my bicycle and doing push-ups and walking.
But you told me the other day you lost 50 pounds.
Yeah, I'm up to 50 now. Exactly 50 pounds I'm sitting at right now. So yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, when I was on that 4-mile walk, and I was stretched on that one, but I always think about, God, if I had that 50 extra pounds on me, what would be happening right now?
Yeah.
So I feel great. I've gotten to the point where I have really I'm lighter now than I ever have been since I've been married to Anne Marie. So none of my clothes fit me. My parents are in town, and they felt bad and bought me some pants.
Oh, it's so funny.
I think it is funny.
The nicest thing about this, though, you and I talked about this the other day, is at 56 years old, shedding 50 pounds just put at least a decade on your life, I would say. Remember the statistic: 1 pound of fat is 5 miles of capillaries that your heart has to push blood through.
Man, that is a serious statistic right there.
Yeah.
And so what did it say? 5 miles. So 5 times 50. Wow, that is
250.
250 miles of capillary. I'm feeling a jolt of energy right now just thinking about that, man. I just eliminated 250 miles of travel for my blood.
This is what I just want to just say to our listeners. But for you to do that at 56 years old, when we're usually using age as an excuse,
right,
as to why we got too much around the middle, why we're not doing this, and man, you just did it. You just did it. Walking living proof. And a lot of people are. Your father-in-law, Larry, lost a
Yeah,
ton of weight. The
he
same,
did.
doing
Yeah,
the
and he
same
looks
thing.
great. I mean, he's in town today, and he was over here last night, and I was hugging him, and I'm like, man, we sure are a lot closer than we used to be when we would hug. You're a little too close to me here, man. But our bellies aren't keeping us
Yeah.
apart. Just what it is, and
And your brother
uh,
Scott, how much did he lose?
he lost 70 pounds.
Oh my
So yeah,
God.
he lost a lot of weight. Well, and of course he was my inspiration on this whole thing. And
He's your
uh
coach.
yeah, and he's been my coach. He's been such a great coach too. I mean, he's so positive all the time. In the face of negative things, he's positive. There were a couple weeks where I gained weight, and he came in and counseled me. As that first time it happened, I was you work so hard at this,
Yeah.
and if you
Sacrifice.
actually gain weight, it's demoralizing. And
Yeah.
they teach you it's really not all about the numbers. Look at your clothes, look at how they're fitting, though.
Yep.
That's really a way better measurement
Yep.
here. And
It
because your
is.
weight fluctuates, and then it also depends on the
Mhm.
time of the day, so you want to weigh yourself at
Not
the
only that.
same. What we do is we weigh ourselves once a week, and it's after you wake up and you've gone to the bathroom, then and before you eat anything or drink
Mhm.
anything, that's when you weigh yourself. And so
Mhm.
you get a consistent measurement. I found, and we're drinking like on this 64 ounces of water plus a day, that man, that water weight actually is a real thing. And it's gonna,
Oh yeah.
you could gain up to 2 pounds in a day just on water weight, and you're going
Yeah.
to eliminate that, of course, but you're measuring your weight at a consistent time before you have any intake after you've eliminated. It's probably the most consistent way, and that's how we've been doing it. Go ahead.
No, well, don't underestimate the fact that you've also put on muscle, which is more dense than
Right.
fat.
Yeah, see, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, is that,
Mhm.
so it's not just the scale that you're looking at,
Right.
like and really exercise, like you said, it makes a difference pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Like, just one bout of exercise causes you to possibly retain more water as well, and also
Oh,
muscle weight is more
dense.
dense,
Yeah.
of course. So
Mhm.
yeah, man, all that stuff is going on, and I gotta say, man, I feel so good. I see
It's the
Anne
best.
Marie takes pictures of me. She's like, you should see, look at it. She'll take a picture of myself, of me,
Yeah.
and then she'll show it to me. And I can't believe it. I mean, I'm just like,
That's wonderful.
whoa, that's crazy. I, I mean, it's miraculous to me. And,
Could
and
you tell
here,
us
oh, go
the
ahead.
name of the system again?
Optavia is the name of the system, and that's and the secret to the system is your health coach.
Hmm.
The system works really through positive encouragement. You want to have a good health coach on this whole thing. Take it from me. I've got my brother, and then his coach as well, Diane. They're so positive, they're so knowledgeable about what to do. They know all the tricks
Mhm.
of this whole thing. And they're very educated, so they can help you to understand. And you really need all of that going together to make this happen. And
Right.
that's the cool thing. So I'm nearing my goal weight now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I'm exactly 10 pounds off of my goal weight right now. So it's the countdown is on.
Yeah.
And that feels really good. And at the same time, and it kind of feels like, oh, it's so close yet so far away.
Yeah.
So here we are. It's the final push
Oh,
here.
okay. Let me ask you this. So, how do you handle Thanksgiving? I
Well,
mean,
this
the
is going to be,
holidays in general, the next 2 months. What's the plan? I know they've coached you up on this already.
yeah. So I mean, here's what I've been doing, and I've been practicing actually.
Hmm.
Um, so I can pick out food that I like, that's going to be totally satisfying to me. That's not going to push me over the top.
Yeah.
So I can eat turkey,
Mhm.
and like something green, so it's lean and green. So it's not going to be like the typical Thanksgiving. I'm not going to jump into pies and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I'm going to
Mhm.
have some turkey with some gravy. I'm going to have maybe a salad on the side with that. And that's what I've been eating. That's what I'm used to
Mhm.
eating. That's probably going to be about it for me.
Well, I'll
Um,
tell you, the way that we make turkey and the way that Lisa makes those vegetables, like I've never had, they're like candy and they're healthy. She's just so good at it.
See, and that's the whole thing I've learned is
Yeah.
that you can, this is where, and I'm going to, after I have that meal, I'll be satisfied. I won't have that, oh my God, I can't believe I just ate all that.
Yes.
Roll me to the car.
Yes.
And it won't be like that. And so that'll be that. And so this is going to be interesting because I told you my parents are in town. Mom and Larry are here. They've got a park home they're staying in. It's Larry's sister's park home, she's got a home in Colorado. That's where she is right now. So they have the place to themselves. It's so cool. They're about 20 minutes away.
That is so cool.
And I the other day when I was on my motorcycle ride on the way home, I stopped over there and I felt so cool. And it's just so cool to see my parents like on the way home, and
that's great. You think they're talking about moving out here?
Oh, I keep dropping the hints that here's my hint. You should move here.
When are your kids coming up?
They're going to be here on the 1st through the 5th, and looking forward to that. They were here last summer, so it's going to be totally different for them because when they came here, it was like 120 outside.
Yeah,
so
they're
like,
going to dig it.
What's the temperature going to be? I'm like, oh, you're going to love it here. So yeah, they're going to be here, and we're all going to be together. Can't wait for that to happen. But we're gonna for Thanksgiving though. We got invited to my friends Mike and Amy's house. They got a 25-pound turkey over there, so we're all going to come together. My mom and Larry are going to come there too, and then Larry's son Jason is coming into town with his girlfriend Shauna, and so they're coming over as well. So nice. It's like Mike and Amy invited us over, and I'm bringing an army of people over. So they wanted us to come, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So this is going to be interesting and fun, and Mike and Amy are just
so loud
to be around. It's going to be a lot of laughs, I think.
Oh, good. Switching gears, unless you got anything else along those lines that you want to talk about, I got two kind of big current events I want to throw out at you.
Oh, cool.
See what you got to say.
I did have one other thing I
wanted
ahead. To bring up. I've been reading this book. Let me just show the book here. It's called Coach, A Story of Success Redefined, and it's by Tim Winders. Tim, I'm about halfway through this book. Tim is he's a businessman. He's a podcaster. He's one of my stepfather's very good friends, and wrote this book, and he wanted Larry to read it, and Larry got a copy for me. And it's about this guy who has, by any worldly standards, this guy's got everything. He's rich. He's got this successful business, a beautiful wife. He's got things. He's got cars. He's got everything. Okay. But the beginning of the book is this guy is ready to commit suicide. And he gets a call in the midst of this act that he's doing. And for some reason, he picks up the phone and he finds out that this coach that he had as a kid had just died, and he's invited to the funeral. And so this changes his trajectory when he hears the eulogy of the coach. Some of his friends from when he played ball were there too, from high school, but there were all these other people from all walks of life. And they were all talking about what a great guy this was, in this giving spirit, and how he changed their lives. And he was over there like, how in the world did this guy? I don't remember this guy like this. I just remember him as just pushing me as hard as he could. He said, something must have changed with this guy. Ultimately, what happens is this guy ends up searching for what changed this guy, because he wanted to change as well. And he finds this guru type person who starts giving him these lessons. I'm skipping a lot of the story, but in how to change his life. So he's looking for like a magic pill on this whole thing to change his life. But what he gets is something completely different. And I think, Barry, that you could relate to this. So he goes, I'm going to take you through these 5 concepts, and these 5 concepts are going to change your life. And here's I'm going to call these concepts acts, ACTS, because you have to take action with these concepts. And the first one, I'll just go through the first one, because to me, this kind of got me thinking, and I just wanted to throw this out here. I'm gonna read this. Act of love was the very first one, and it's interesting that this was the foundational one out of the 5. But I'm just gonna read you what this guy. So this guy has to learn this and meditate on it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea here is that this guy's problem was he didn't actually know what love was. So let me read this. Act of love. Love is unearned, unconditional compassion and understanding for all people. It is not just a feeling or emotion. It is patient, kind, and honoring to others. Love is an action. It is something that one does. We are commanded to love God and love others as we love ourselves. I will show love. I will seek opportunities to honor those around me. I have not earned the love that is shown to me. Therefore, I will not expect others to earn love from me. I will not judge. I will be quick to forgive. I will be a person of compassion and understanding. My thoughts, words, and actions will be evidence of the love that flows through me at all times. I will show love. Anyhow, it goes through
powerful.
the story. This is super powerful.
Well, you know what you just explained right there is, in my opinion, the way to so hard. We know, we've heard 100 times, we've said 100 times that the key to the secret of law of attraction or anything else is gratitude, staying in a place of gratitude. How the hell do you do that in this world? Well, I think you just explained it in a way.
Man, that was you hit the nail on the head. That was a bullseye, man, because that's what they're talking about in the rest of this book. That love is the cornerstone of everything, and not the worldly kind of love. This is the problem. This guy figures out that this is foreign to him. This isn't the kind of love that he thought that he knew. The kind of love that he knew was self-centered. It was about him. And so the kind of love that he knew brought him to the brink of suicide.
Yeah.
This kind of love, and you
it's
and
outwardly.
We've talked about this before many times. This is a different form of love. This is a supernatural kind of love. This is a love that is outside, that is focused outward.
Radiate outward.
Giving kind of love. It's the self-sacrificial kind of love that when it's inside of you, because it has to be inside of you to be able to give it first, you have to fill yourself with it, and it doesn't come from you, because it says God is love. God is so this is a godly supernatural love that comes into you, and when it's overflowing, you can give it to other people, and this is the key to happiness.
That's really good stuff, Merle. It really is.
I mean, and when you think about it, like how hard is this? This isn't something that you can I don't think it's something that you could ever arrive at, because how can you have unconditional compassion and understanding for all people? I mean, that's the very first thing. It's unearned, and it's unconditional compassion and understanding for all people. I mean, just the first line of this.
But it was accompanied with the line of something like, but don't expect love in return because you haven't done anything to earn it yet. So
well, here's the thing.
That's humility.
I'll read it to you.
That's humility.
Yes. Let me read that to you, because that's a good one, Barry.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked that one out. I have not earned the love that is shown to me. Therefore, I will not expect others to earn love from me.
That's great, man. That's really good.
Think about that. And so I am tasked with giving love unconditionally to somebody that's unlovable. That's my task, is to love the unlovable. It's easy to love the lovable, right? That's not a task, but the unlovable. And it's because I don't deserve the love that's shown to me. Now, here's what's interesting. In the writing of this, the word love is always capitalized, which in my mind means that we're not talking about God is always capitalized. We're
God
talking
is
about
love.
something.
God is love.
Yes, this is so you could even substitute the word God
Oh,
for
sure.
love in these things.
Sure.
Like, I have not earned the love of God that is shown me. Therefore, I will not expect others to earn that kind of love from me, because it's not your love, it's God's love. So what you don't have any right to hold God's love back from somebody. And think about, there's a lot of ways to look at this.
Well, and then there's the irony of it all, is that's how you get self-love, is after you follow that path.
Well, think about this too. I will not judge. I will be and I will be quick to forgive. I mean, think about how not self-centered you have to be to quickly forgive.
You can learn to forgive yourself after you learn to forgive and stop judging others.
You know, it's interesting. I thought a lot about this, Barry, and I kind of feel like maybe that is actually backwards, because I feel like I've had to learn how to forgive myself first in order to actually apply that to other people.
I struggle with that all the time.
I think that's where my own struggle has been, because it's really more about my own unforgiveness of myself. And if I can find forgiveness for myself, then I can apply that compassion for myself to other people. But if I don't have compassion for my own self in this area, how can I apply it to other people? It's the same concept. If I don't have love in me, how can I actually give that love to somebody else if I don't even have it in me? So I have to actually, I mean, think about this. There are things about ourselves that we hold a grudge against ourselves.
For sure. Worse than we do externally.
And then when we see somebody else violating that same thing, we're harder on those people because we're hard on ourselves about that.
Yes.
And so when I have realized that there's a saying in Christianity that says, "There by the grace of God go I." So when you can put yourself in that person's position, like all the homeless people that I saw in Los Angeles, and say, you know what, that could be me.
Yeah.
And then when I see them as me, then I can easily think, how would I want to be treated by somebody like me in that situation? Then I can easily pour my heart into those people.
Yeah.
But I think when we're offended, let me just say, me, when I'm offended, I so want to redeem and get back and everything like that. But that's not actually, that's not the definition of this love. I actually have to forget about me and be quick to forgive a trespass. And you know, when you do that, at first it's like you're sacrificing something that you don't want to sacrifice, but then when it happens, all the pain and bitterness it gets wiped away instantly.
Yeah, you just let a load go away.
Well, you know, and Anne-Marie and I sometimes we're very opinionated, right? And I'm right all the time, and so is she, and sometimes it'll get escalated, and I have
clearly
to think,
I'm not
even important. I need to just forgive and forget and just move on. And I think this kind of stuff changes the world.
I definitely agree.
When we think about our society and culture, there's something else, another concept that was in here, is that our whole world, every culture, no matter who it is or what it is rooted in love. Like, and if you really think about that kind of love, this kind of love that I'm talking about, it's really the whole reason that humankind hasn't, eliminated itself to the last man, because without love, we're so selfish that everybody is a threat. And so love is actually the thing that's holding everything together here in this world. And I really feel like this, as I'm sorry, one thing.
Oh, good.
I feel like this is that, the world has a lot of trouble, right? And there's a simple answer, and it's this. Agreed. This is it.
You could package that right up with what we were talking about earlier with play. And the reason is, I was almost going to make this point back then. That's right. I forgot. But we've gotten so disconnected. Social media has made that worse. Let's not even bring up the pandemic, the isolation. And we've got a couple generations of young people that are going to be forever affected by that kind of isolation and dove into their phones more than ever, and the
Yes.
toxicity of social media and stuff. And I hear that there are stats that social media participation is down, which would be awesome, which would be
Oh,
great.
I'm glad to hear that.
So package up a little bit of what you just told us about there with some play, meaning real meaningful interaction with friends or strangers even, but to get out there and interact and learn how to socialize again, learn how to play, but also practice what you just basically in a nutshell told us about unconditional love. And I think that's good stuff, because right now I think the anxiety that we're just teaching kids how to be anxious, but we talk about it all the time. We've been raising kids for a couple of generations now with helicopter parenting and making sure they have no struggles and all that. So although their adult lives are filled with anxiety because they don't know how to handle struggles and compete and things like that. So
Yes.
yeah, so all of this stuff, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, the our lives are so short, and we always think about the meaning of life. And here at Thanksgiving time, I think this is such an appropriate topic
Oh,
for
there you go.
Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving and love, they're intertwined.
Mhm.
And I just feel like this whole thing is the key to the meaning of life. Our purpose in life is rooted in showing that kind of love to others. And you think about, we have a family, we have a career, we have this, but all those things are meaningless without love.
Yeah.
And so really, that love can take on many forms and many directions and purposes, but the root is that it's in. And when we keep that in focus, especially at Thanksgiving, we have a lot to be thankful for.
Not only
But
that, I'd say extend the entire holiday season.
I agree with that too.
We like to go out and we don't shop as much. We're on Amazon now, but I used to love to go and buy my couple of gifts I had to get, and then just go walk around the malls. Like all that stress is gone. Now I can just walk around the malls, kind of get a little dressed up, and maybe go by myself, have a little bit of a dinner and a drink, like a scotch or something, and just take it all in the holiday season. And it could be December 10th, 12th. This is my point, but for the last 12th of this year, generally the holiday season, it's the festive time. I mean, Lisa and I we don't just say Thanksgiving, we say the holiday season, because I don't care about winter really until January 2nd. Then it's like, it's all over with and all downhill from here.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying, let's just take this all in. And it's kind of like for Christians on Sunday to end your week, start another with going to church and recharging your batteries. This is kind of what we do at the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, I see what you see. Yeah.
There's such an anti-Christian sentiment fad going around, and it has been for a while, that Jordan Peterson said once about Christmas, because there's a lot of people that would love to wipe out Christmas.
Well, of
and
course.
and he says, like, regardless of your religious affiliation, maybe you have none whatsoever, but if you don't have Christmas, you just don't have Christmas. You take that away. And me, as being fairly agnostic most of my life, I love Christmas. I just think of it as a time of love. And
there it is.
Yeah, family and friends to be better than you have been. It's like going to church on Sunday to end your week. I think it's really important.
It's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah. I think it's really important.
I think it is too. I really
do.
You
think about the times when I was a kid and how much Christmas meant to me as a kid, and how hard my family tried to make it a special tradition.
Same here. They made it wonderful. I have great Christmas memories, and it's all about love, and that comfortable love kind of safety. There's safety in love, right?
Oh, sure there is.
My grandmother used to talk about love. Towards the end of her life, she had discovered that love was the key, love was the answer, and she would tell me about this all the time. And I remember as a kid, I wasn't getting it. It kind of sounded weird to me. But isn't it funny how as you get older, you start to realize that the older people that you thought were like, okay, whatever. Now it's like, oh my God, my grandmother was brilliant.
Yes.
And she was right. She was right.
Okay. All right. I want to throw a few topics at you.
Okay,
Talk
cool.
about whatever we want. I now have 3 because I thought of one this morning. So I'll start with that one. These mass shootings, man. Walmart this morning.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. And it's just every day. There's another one there. There's a lot we could talk about there. Another one. Trump announced he's running again. Not a big surprise, but he's doing it. And finally, Sam Bankman-Fried going broke. Whatever you want to talk about. And if you got
those are 3. I mean, those are 3 good ones. So
yeah.
I think we could probably take up the rest of the time talking about those. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I don't really care. Let's go with the Walmart, the shootings.
Yeah. Okay. So why do you think this is happening, Barry?
My guess would be, now there's 2 things. I always try to pull both sides in my head. What am I thinking? Is it right? So one side of me says, I need to know real true stats on how many people are being killed each year versus over time. Because we're probably going to find it's less. It's just that we hear about every one of them now,
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe. Also, we never hear about the 40 people in the south side of Chicago that get murdered every week.
Never. That's correct.
So there's that. But on the other hand, there are these mass shootings that are all the rage these days. Right. And I just really feel it comes back to, I sound like a broken record, but the way we're raising our kids, we fill them with anxiety. They don't know how to cope. They don't know what to do. They're getting bullied on social media and they're bullying back. It's absence of love.
I couldn't have said it better. That is exactly what I think it is. It, and they constantly are trying to make it a political issue.
Yes.
Republicans and Democrats. It has nothing to do with that.
No.
And I think you're right too, about my understanding of violent crime here in the United States. There was a peak in the 80s and 90s, and that we've come way down from that. And now with social media and 24/7 news coverage, we see these things all the time. But funny thing, you pointed it out, that we see the things they want us to see, and we don't see the things they don't want us to see. And
we don't want to see. We don't care about
hearing about. There's a political agenda too. About, like you said, we don't hear about the people on the south side of Chicago. Well, why don't we hear about that? Well, there's a political agenda around that, not to show that, because we want it to look like everything that Black Lives Matter says is correct. And we never see Black Lives Matter there when a kid gets shot because Black gang members are trying to kill each other. We don't see that. So there's a distortion of reality here. But the bottom line is, people are shooting and killing each other. And why are they doing that? Why would somebody be motivated to take some kind of weapon, go to the store and shoot random people? And I think you're right about that. I also think that when you have a society and you steal all the hope from that society, especially from the young people that have their whole lives supposedly in front of them, and now there's no future and they don't see. I mean, I'm thinking, if I'm a kid growing up in this society and I'm hearing all the messages from social media, I'm hearing everything in the news, I'm going to school and they're teaching me CRT. And so now I'm a bad person and I'm a bigot. And I live in a country that's bad. And these people are deplorable and those people are deplorable. And you should be ashamed of yourself. It seems like we're creating a society, and we're creating these people that are in desperate squalor, and that these types of things are ripe for evil to incubate. And that's it. I mean, look, if you take everybody's guns away, all you've done is you've taken away the fruit but you have not done anything to the root.
There you
The
go.
root
Source.
is not guns.
No,
Not
you got to
guns.
get to the source. I think you're really absolutely right about everything that you said. And it's also surely the reason why Jordan Peterson has risen to such prominence in the last 5-6 years, because it's young men that are coming and hearing, oh my God, I'm not a horrible person and worthless and full of toxic masculinity.
That's right.
Yeah. He's like, no, just you got to man up. You got to clean your room, get things in order, be a purposeful person, and everything starts falling in place. But we teach people, you said it, I'm just repeating it. But in our schools today, we're literally teaching them that men are the cause of all of our problems, the white patriarchy. So you're guilty and shameful before you even had a chance to do anything. That's what it is.
Barry, and the other thing, you're hitting on something really important here. And when I think about men in particular, because men, no one talks about it. Seems like we're the only ones that talk about this, but I mean, when you take one man that goes rogue, and I've seen this before working at that amusement park. One man that goes rogue sometimes can take up to 20 other men to subdue. Men are strong. Men are stronger than women physically. And you get a man in that kind of, you preach all these kinds of messages to a young boy, and he's got all this stuff inside of him and all this adrenaline and these hormones and everything, and you really mess with that person's head and they grow into a full mature man. You've created a dangerous weapon.
There you go.
And this is, so it doesn't like okay, so we take the guns away. So those men won't use guns to kill people. They'll use something else. Right. And then the politicians can look back and say, see, gun deaths are down by 90%. It worked. But no, now people are running over people with their cars all the time, which we've seen that too. So okay, now we got to take baseball bats away from people now. And pretty soon, let's just handcuff all men so that they can't use their hands to kill people. I mean, this is a dangerous thing that we've done to society, and we've got to turn this around. And men isolated is a scary thing. Men should never be isolated, because only bad can come from that.
You're right, and we're getting more and more isolated all the time. COVID played a big role in that. What did you just say? I had a good response to. Just a second to the last sentence that you said. I don't know.
Too bad. I don't even know what I said. I was on a roll. Men, though, it's just the strongness of men, the strength of men, just how dangerous that can be. We're creating a weapon out of that whole thing. Yeah,
that was good. How you said
I mean, with women don't think the same way men do. Like we'll burn the whole place down. Women are not going to be that way. That's not how they think. So this attack on men is way more dangerous. When we look at what we've done, like, okay, men can't be men, they have to be like women. Well, okay, I mean, I hate to say that way, but these people, that's going to cause mental illness, and people are going to do things like grab a weapon, go to a bar of people that, this is screwing me up, and they'll do this kind of thing that happened in Colorado last week. And so we're creating this whole thing, and then the politicians come in. I think I talked to you about this, like how I was so amazed at when I had my dog, when she would go number 2, how quickly a fly would show up. And like, where did that fly come from? How did that fly get there? That before it even hit the ground, the fly was on it. This is like these politicians now. As soon as the gun goes off, these politicians are all on it, like, and they're blaming each other and everything, like they had something to do with the guy's decision to shoot a bunch of people. And it's, I think that alone is super arrogant, that politicians feel like they've given themselves godlike stature, and this whole thing is broken, man.
You're right. I want to back up and add one thing about obviously it's usually men that are creating these violent crimes of mass shootings or whatever, but don't think women are harmless.
No,
Women
I didn't
just,
say that.
because we're physically bigger and stronger, we learned and adapted how to create our own wrecking in different ways. They'll destroy your reputation.
Well, women
They
are
will
more
destroy you in
cerebral.
another way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're okay. So we are more physical, right?
Right.
So when somebody's physical, you can see, oh, here comes that guy.
Right. It's
Okay, defend
obvious.
yourself.
Yeah.
But women, they'll get you by thinking. And
It's more
that's the
manipulative.
mental pain is a
I'm
lot
only
worse
talking
than
to
physical.
I'm only talking to the issue of toxic masculinity, as
Yes,
if we're
yes.
the only ones that
No,
are.
no,
Yeah,
no. It's a human factor.
it
It's just
is.
that men and women do things and think differently.
Mm-hmm.
Men are going to be more physically
Obvious.
aggressive, while women will be more mentally aggressive
Right, right.
in ways like when I get into an argument with my wife, she's got things that she's got weapons that I have no idea about. You know what I mean?
I know, I
I,
know.
I, I don't
Lisa's
want any of
half
that.
my size,
Yeah.
literally, and she scares me.
Yeah. See, they're good. They're good.
She's a tough little.
They're
All right,
strong. That's what it is. They're
Sam
strong.
Bankman-Fried. What do you
Okay.
think?
Well, there's so
What do
many
you think
things to
about that?
look
What do you think
at
about
here.
crypto? I haven't looked at enough lately to have this great big intelligent conversation about it. So go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
here's the thing. There's so many different levels to this whole thing, but my understanding now is through this FTX organization, that's how we were sending our tax dollars to Ukraine.
Mm.
Everything went through FTX. Now, in every time we send money that way, it creates a token in FTX, which is how the people at FTX get paid. Okay, so every time, oh, we're sending another $1 trillion over to Ukraine, then these tokens pile up for Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay, so now he's getting all this money. Then he takes that money that he's got, and all these people are investing in it, not just America, U.S. government. And it turns out that he had a backdoor thing going on where he moved the money to another company that he had. With that money, he gave $40 million. He's the second largest Democrat donor behind Soros in this midterm election. He's been the second largest donor since then. So all this money that's coming through to go to Ukraine is being used to finance the campaign for the Democrat Party. That's number one. Number two, these governments around the world are salivating right now because they have seen this whole Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency, as some kind of a threat, because they can't control the money. They have no control over the money.
You're right about
they
that.
have been talking about centralizing crypto into the central banks. And as a result, what will happen is that they'll remember how they wanted to see every bank transaction of $600 or more, and we showed that was unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Well, they never forgot about that, and they want that. They want to know every single thing that you buy, and I'll tell you why in a second. You've probably already figured it out, but they can now use this excuse that Sam Bankman-Fried, this FTX, they lost billions of dollars overnight, and now to protect you, we've got to put this into the central banks. That is guaranteed what they're doing right now. And as a result of being able to put it into the central banks, Barry, we can now start the social credit score.
Oh, God.
The social credit score. You didn't say the right thing, Barry, on that podcast last time. So that vacation you wanted to go on with Lisa, well, you're not allowed to go on that vacation. Now, we're not going to allow you to spend any money in your favorite destination spot. Now, please change your attitude and don't ever do that again. That's what's coming through this whole thing. And this is what everyone needs to be aware of, because their strategy is to come in and tell you that they're going to protect you. And that's how they're going to enslave you.
Well, China is already doing the social credit score. And I'm speaking to people that think that this might sound very far-fetched, but look at culture today and the whole woke movement, they're
It's a prelude.
already they're already practicing it without profiting
Yes.
from it yet.
Yes. Yes.
But they are profiting from it socially.
They are. They really are.
Yeah.
And they'll profit from it tremendously.
Yeah.
And this is how we'll get our tyrannical one-party system sealed in, and it'll never go away. And this is how they can put the kibosh on any kind of resistance. You saw what happened in Canada when those truckers tried to resist Trudeau, and he shut down their
bank accounts.
They couldn't. And that's how the social credit score works.
He lost a lot of credibility there, though.
I don't think he lost power.
Yeah, I know. That's a shame. It's I think I sometimes overestimate the awareness that we are gaining, because I had this conversation with the last guest I had a week or two ago, Scott Edwards, not my brother, but a comedy club owner, entrepreneur of many, many different things. A really smart guy, is a really good podcast. You guys should go watch it. But he's a conservative that lives in Sacramento, California his whole life. And we were talking about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, how did the midterms not go red wave after you went and got your groceries and filled up your tank in your car and all of the crime that's risen? And he's like, oh, he goes, Jesus. He's like, New York, LA, San Francisco, all of Washington State. He just named all these places are all so bought in. They'll vote. They're going to vote blue no matter who, every single time. Yep. And they don't know differently. On top of that, every one of our major institutions, big tech, healthcare, the military industrial complex went woke. But every one of them, Disney's tried, they're all bought in. These institutions are bought into this whole woke stuff, even though the majority of Americans, I forget who I heard say this on a podcast recently. He's like, I got 2 young kids. I'm terrified of them getting to age where they go to school. And then at 5 years old, 7 years old, one comes home and says, I want to transition to be a girl or a boy.
Right.
Yeah. And
yes. And how did that happen?
Our educational institutions are completely infiltrated with all of this. And that right there, they're brainwashing your kids at the earliest age possible.
That's right.
So I think there's that's a big hill to climb. And to recover our institutions will take more than a generation.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And of course, we're only speculating, right? We don't know what we've seen over the past, I'd say since Trump was elected, that everything's off the radar now. I didn't think Trump would get elected. I didn't think he had a snowball's chance in hell.
Oh, you mean the first time, 2016?
Yeah.
correct.
How did he's not in politics. There's never been a president before that wasn't in politics or the U.S. military. Right. Just didn't happen. And so this guy came in out of nowhere, never been in politics. And not nowhere. Everyone knew him, but he became the president. Now, everything this past election, like you said, that should have been a big red wave, because everything up until this point pointed to that. And that's the way it always happened. Now, things aren't happening the way. Things are happening in an unprecedented way right now. And so we don't actually know. There was a time where I would have said, yeah, that's right. But now it's sort of like, I don't know, man. I don't know how this is going to go. But I do know one thing. We look at this whole thing that happened and from a Republican point of view, it's like, oh, we lost the big red wave and failure. But I don't see it that way. I see it a couple of different ways. Number one, the Republicans won the House. And I think that the the people that are Republicans are underestimating the superpower of that, because what it did is it changes the House Speaker. So now Nancy Pelosi we're not going to hear from her all the time now. It changes all of the committees that they have. The Intelligence Committee changes, the Finance Committee changes. Those are all run by Democrats right now. Now the Republicans are going to have it. We talk about the pendulum swinging. Well, I thought the January 6 hearings that the House was doing this past year were a complete waste of time. But now that I've seen the election, I think that that people must have been watching that. People must have been getting something out of that. Now the Republicans have a chance to tell their side of the story. The Bible says this: everything a man says sounds right until you hear the other side of the story. And so now we're going to get to hear the other side of the story. And now we're seeing where Hunter Biden can't hide anymore. This whole thing that's happening with China and Joe Biden and his son now is going to come out into the open, into these hearings. They're going to have to testify. We saw last year, the last 2 years, where Republicans that refused to testify through subpoena power of Congress are going to jail. So now that's going to happen to the Democrats if they don't come in and testify as well. I don't care which side wins. All I care about is the truth. I want to, and somewhere amongst all these lies, I think the truth is going to have to come out. So that's one. Number two is this: when I take a look at the election, in this particular election on the Senate front, there were only from a Democrat point of view, there were only something like 16 seats that they had to protect. So them losing a whole lot, they only had really the possibility of losing 16 seats and when you're in the incumbent, you have the advantage. So this whole talk about the Senate shifting, I don't think that was really real to begin with. I was hoping, but I didn't see that real possibility of that happening. But the media talked it up so much, like it was like this was a sure thing, that it almost seemed like that was the plan, is for people to be demoralized after the election with this whole thing.
Yeah,
now,
boy.
In the next one, let me just say this: in the next election, the Democrats actually are having to protect 35 seats out of the 50 that they have. So that's the majority of the seats that they're forced to protect in the next one. If the Republicans can learn from the mistakes they made in this
horrible
particular
communicators,
election, and it was terrible, you're exactly right. If they can get their messaging not only firmed up, but actually out there, because they're not even getting their message out there,
right?
Then they have a chance. I think the 24 election is more important than this one, although this one is really important. The 24 one is going to be more important. So that brings us to Trump. But you had something to say before
well,
that.
sure. I mean, one of the biggest problems that we have, maybe the biggest, is the education system being completely infiltrated with all of the woke stuff. But
I agree.
Media, come on, man. The freedom of the press. The media is supposed to be the watchdog of our politicians, of the infrastructure, basically. And they are a propaganda machine, 95% propaganda machine. I'd say 100%, because Fox doesn't communicate a conservative side very well at all.
No,
so
I agree.
The media is a mess, and that's a big problem in this country. So on to Trump.
Yeah. So that brings us the 2024 election. And of course, Donald Trump announced his run right after this election. And I thought it was strange timing. I don't know, after what was perceived to be a Republican failure, that he immediately announces his run. What did you think?
Everybody he endorsed lost. I thought that's
not true.
Volumes. Is it not true? Who won that?
No, that's not true. Okay, so this is something we have to look into. Lots of his endorsements won, but the media came out and said that they didn't. He had like 300 people he was backing. He won almost all of them. But the media is out there saying that he didn't win those. And I can point to some of them that I know of that did win. Not here in Arizona, unfortunately. Right. But yeah, so again, here's my problem. The media painted the election as a terrible, colossal loss for the Republicans. And I don't know if that's actually the truth. I can see it here in my state, what happened. But here, if you take a look at the real truth here, what did the Democrats actually win out of this? Really nothing. And they lost the House. that's really what just happened. So normally if you have the House and the Senate and then you lose the House, the real loser is the one that lost the House. So that's what happened. The Democrats actually lost footing, but all of the media is portraying it as the Democrats are victorious, which it was really the Democrats are victorious because they didn't lose as bad as we thought that they would lose. That's like saying the Cleveland Browns are victorious because they didn't lose to the Steelers as bad as we thought that they were going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're saying. And so, so then I listened to everybody's like, oh, Trump's ridiculous. And all these Republicans are saying this. And they're like, we're never going to support Trump because look, he's poison. And then I went and I forced myself to listen to the speech that he gave. And because I just figured, well, this has got to be the worst speech ever. And when I listened to it, it totally made sense. And so now I'm like, okay, this is sort of a fog of war thing that's happening. The media is trying to say, just like they tell us every day about what's happening in Ukraine. We don't know what's happening in Ukraine. We have no idea what's happening there. Just like this, we don't even know here in Arizona. I don't even know what's up with the governor's race. Carrie Lake hasn't conceded. There's a lawsuit. They're doing a recount, all this stuff. We still don't know. It's fog of war. So the media comes in and says, here's what we want you to think. The Republicans lost all this. I think we got to give it a little bit of time to figure out on the Trump thing if he's actually lost ground or if he's actually gained ground. In the meantime, this whole DeSantis thing, I think is the real story, is taking a look at what's going on with Ron DeSantis, because I think that this guy is the real deal. Yeah, and I really think that he's the guy that's going to be our conservative champion.
I hope you're right, because I think if Trump is the nominee, that ensures that if Biden is still breathing, that he's going to be out there and he'll win.
I think Trump's the only one that Biden could beat.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yep. And I think DeSantis would pretty much beat anybody.
I think so too.
Until you got 2 years of the propaganda machine to try to destroy him and create a whole new narrative.
Well, that's the whole thing, is why would Trump announce his run with 2 years of just pain coming at him? And in the news today, the Supreme Court decided to open up his tax returns and show that. So I don't think that's going to be, I think that's another weapon that they could use on top of the stuff that whatever is going to happen with this Mar-a-Lago thing. And I got to also say this about the Mar-a-Lago thing. I think if they found something there that was really detrimental, it'd be all over the news right now. And it would have been before the election. So I think that's a bunch of BS right there. I don't think anything's coming out of that whole thing, but they're looking for weapons. And I think this tax return could be a pretty serious one, but we'll have to see. Go ahead.
Lisa had a really great insight, and she said, if it's going to be like 2016, when all these egos on the Republican side, all of these egos, 11 different people flood the stage because they all want to be president, and they really, most don't have a shot in hell, right? She goes, that's going to take, 5% is going to be lost to this guy, 5 to this guy, 5 to that guy. And Trump's going to win because he's going to have enough, because 25% support or whatever is going to be good enough, is going to be the majority.
No, I see what she's saying too, and I think that she's right, but I think it's going to come down to 2 people, and I think it's so early to even say this.
I know it is,
but from sitting here at this point, because it's fun, I think it would come down to DeSantis and Trump. We're already seeing the polls out there that those two are like, DeSantis is caught right up to Trump, and some polls are showing that if the vote were today, some would go for, some say it would be DeSantis, some are saying Trump. So I think it's going to come down to the 2 of them, and then it's going to be a battle of strategy. And I think these are 2 strategic titans, and then I think behind that it's going to be what kind of people you have in your arsenal behind you, like Trump's people and advisors and DeSantis's people and advisors. And I got to say, after seeing Trump and his advisors, I think I would bet on DeSantis personally.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it
His
always seems.
advisors have turned on him and stabbed him in the back. I think he picks terrible advisors.
Well, Giuliani has become a character of himself.
Fauci.
Oh, Fauci,
He was
Trump.
an advisor.
Oh, geez.
Right. I mean, these are the kind of people. Jared Kushner is the one that's his son-in-law.
Yeah.
And now I'm finding out that he and Fauci worked together on the plan for all the lockdowns, which destroyed our economy. So these are things that I'm talking about. Is like, well, he Omarosa or Jeff Sessions, he recused himself from the Russian thing immediately. These are all people. How for such a great businessman, how could you pick all of these people that eventually stab you in the back?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Anyway, so that's how I'm seeing it, and it's way too early to tell.
Sure.
But what an interesting thing that's happening here.
Yeah.
I hope going back to the FTX thing, people, that's criminal. The activity that happened there is criminal. And I hope that justice gets served because.
Well, explain to me. You say the whole premise of it is that American, I guess, tax dollars are going through FTX, and
yes,
why would that be?
Well, it was supposed to be for safety purposes, that we could transfer that money over using this very secure type of financial transfer, Bitcoin, because of the technology that's behind it. That was the reason why they used that. But in the meantime, this guy that runs it was being enriched by that. That's what was happening. So, and then the guy that was running it being enriched promises while all of this is happening to give $1 billion to campaign funding. Well, he gave 40 million, not $1 billion. And then 2 days after the election, the company goes belly up. How strange that it goes belly up 2 days after the election. So in other words, the presidential administration used our tax dollars to fund the Democrat campaign for the 2022 midterm election. That's not legal, Barry. That you can't.
Well,
use
I know,
our
but that
tax
has to
dollars
be proved in a court of law. If they had a contract with FTX to, as you say, I'm not even sure about any of this, but if they had a contract to use FTX to use their secure Bitcoin to get it over to Ukraine, and yet the guy, I guess at the head of FTX, donates to the Democratic campaign, well, then you can say anybody that's ever donated to a Democratic campaign could never provide any kind of business to the government.
Well, so he didn't just donate. What he did.
What I'm saying is his company is a separate entity. It's not a sole proprietor. It's not him. His company is providing this, supposedly, providing this service, which is completely trackable. But he, on his own accord, donates to the Democratic Party.
Okay, but you say on his own accord, and therein lies the whole thing that we have to investigate, because the evidence is that he had promised to put $1 billion into the campaign fund, and at the same time he's receiving money from us, and he's all the money that he got, he stole out of his own business, moved it through a back door into another business, and then took that money and used it to hide the money and put it all into the Democrat campaign. First off, we're enriching somebody with our tax dollars to get money to Ukraine. That alone, I don't think that's I think there's some problems right there.
Are you
right
kidding
there?
me?
If Trump were to do that,
private companies, through the military industrial complex, we've made billionaires because they are supplying arms or whatever to Afghanistan or Iraq.
Well, they're providing arms. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there's an actual product there. Mm-hmm. This is not that. This is simply transferring money. You're not doing any work by transferring money. You automatically get rich because the president decided to route money through your organization, and then you take that money and you spend it all on his party. I mean, if Trump did that, there'd be torches and pitchforks out there, and they'd be trying to drag him off to jail. That's what happened. That's illegal. You can't do that with our tax dollar money. You can't fund an entire campaign off of our tax dollars. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And not only that, he did it nefariously. He took the money illegally, and then he funneled it into another company, making it so all the investors in that company lost all their investment, and he gave it to the Democrats to run their campaign with. There's something jacked up right there, big time, and it had a tremendous impact on our electoral system. I just think that inside of that is crime.
Well, I'm sure he's going to get charged with a crime. Whether the politics of this actually proves out, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. You're right. But I think the worst part of it isn't that at all. The worst part is the central banking scheme that they have going on around this. And you're hearing the rhetoric around this. This is how the social credit score gets implemented. That is the worst part of this. And that is the threat to our way of life.
Yeah.
Not the election is the election. That's bad enough, but this is exponentially worse than that. And I think because people don't understand cryptocurrency, and I'm still struggling to wrap my head around it, that this is how they get away with this kind of stuff, is people don't know what a social credit score is. More and more people are starting to understand what it is, but I think it'll be wrapped up in a package that sounds appealing to people, because with this, you can cut down on crime. You can see where, hey, these money launderers aren't going to be able to get away with this kind of stuff. So there is good that could come out of it, but the social credit score will make any benefits you get out of it nil.
With that, buddy, I think we should wrap up.
I think you're right. Yep.
Ton to do. I really appreciate you coming on again.
Oh man, this is a great show.
Another classic episode, and it was a great show. Thanksgiving episodes are kind of special. Well, our first Thanksgiving episode, I didn't record. If you remember,
we had to do it again. Yeah,
we had to do it all over.
This is our third Thanksgiving show, Barry. Isn't that awesome?
It's only the third, though.
Yeah.
Because it seems like we've been. Well, we got something like 217 shows under our belt.
Yeah. Whew, man. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Barry.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well,
again.
I just want to say thanks to you, Barry,
Sure.
on the Thanksgiving Eve, and really putting this show together, and all the hard work and the sacrifice that you've put to put this out, and the editing and the production. And I mean, you do a lot of work every week to put this out, and I'm very thankful to you for inviting me on the show and having me here. And just it's one of the highlights for me in life. So thanks for having this vision and pursuing it and making it happen, brother.
Well,
I love you.
Thank you, man. I love you too. And it's the chemistry. It's I really appreciate what you put into the show as well, because you bring something special every time. You know, our last show that I was talking about with Scott Edwards, Lisa, she always watches the shows on Sunday on her exercise bike, and then she texted me and said,
"Hi, Lisa."
She texted me and said, "This is the best non-Merle episode you ever did." So it was an exceptional. It's an exceptional show, but she always says, "But give me a classic. I need a classic episode."
Oh, that's awesome! Thank you, Lisa.
We need to
thanks to you too, Lisa.
All right, guys. Hey, sign up at over50startingover.com. Get all this to your email box as it happens. Really would appreciate a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and just like and share, subscribe at our YouTube channel, whichever channel you prefer. All right, Mom. Talk to you soon,
Barry.
Cole. All
Take
right.
care. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you too.